Should we start, ma'am?
Yeah, we can start.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to today's webinar on mindfulness and achieving emotional balance using mindfulness techniques. We are really glad to have all of you here with us today. Before we begin, it is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker for the evening, Ms. Christy Bora. Ms. Christy is an RCI registered clinical psychologist here at Summit Psych Services, and she holds both an MSc and MPhil in clinical psychology. She has extensive experience working with children, adolescents, and adults, and she supports them through a range of emotional and behavioral challenges. Ma'am is also known for her compassionate and evidence based therapeutic approach, and her work is centered on empowering individuals to develop resilience, self awareness, and emotional well being. She strongly believes that mindfulness can be a transformative tool in helping people lead healthier and more balanced lives. So we are truly honored to have you here with us and to hear your insights on the topic and to understand how mindfulness can be woven into our daily lives and support our emotional health. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Christy Bora. And I would really request all of you to please turn on your cameras when we are doing the activities, as it will make the sessions more interactive. So, ma'am, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Riti. The kind welcome. Please let me know while I share my screen if you can see my screen. Is it
Yes, ma'am,
visible?
your screen is visible. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Riti. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the monthly webinar. Um, Today's topic, like Riti has already introduced it, is about mindfulness and achieving emotional balance using mindfulness techniques. So, before we dive into today's session, I want to start with a simple question um, that I want to ask all of you. So, I want to ask how many of you feel that life has become a constant race of juggling between constant responsibilities, emotions, expectations, and deadlines? I think your answer would be a yes, because I think most of us are facing that these days, right? So if your answer is yes, I don't think you're alone in this. The reason we chose mindfulness as the focus of this presentation is because it speaks directly to the challenges of our modern world. So, despite the progress that we've made as a community, as a world, the stress, the anxiety, the emotional exhaustion, and the difficulty focusing are becoming more and more than ever, right? So many of us are physically present, yet mentally we are like scattered or thinking about yesterday's mistakes or tomorrow's tasks. Yeah. So I feel like mindfulness offers us a powerful pause button in a way. So here we are discussing more about mindfulness today. Just give me one moment. All right. So, before we move forward, let's really dive into what mindfulness is, the what of mindfulness, basically. So, we keep hearing this term a lot nowadays in yoga studios, in corporate meetings, in social media, in schools, and where not, right? So, let's dive deeper into the concept of mindfulness. So, if we have to talk about the definition, it is defined as a form of non judgmental, non reactive attention to experiences occurring in the present moment, including bodily sensations, cognitions, emotions, and urges, as well as environmental stimuli such as sights, sounds, and scents. Okay. So, what does it mean necessarily is that It basically means being fully aware of the present moment, exactly as it is, without any judgment. So it's basically the practice of paying attention to what is happening right now inside of us and around us, instead of getting pulled into past memories or future worries, right? So it's also about noticing our bodily sensations, thoughts, emotions, the urges that we are having in the present moment, even the sounds, the smells, and the sights that is there around us, with more curiosity rather than some form of criticism. Okay, so let's try something together for a few seconds. So I want all of you to just pause wherever you are. Notice your breath entering and leaving your body, right? So notice the temperature of the air, the position of the soldiers, of your shoulders, the weight of your body on the chair or wherever you are seated. I hope all of you were able to notice that. Now, that moment of simple awareness that we all just experienced is what mindfulness is. Yeah. So, a lot of people believe that a mindful person has an empty mind. That's not true at all. The human mind naturally produces thoughts. It is what it is designed to do in a way, right? So, mindfulness is not stopping the thoughts, it is learning to observe them without getting swept away, right? So, moving forward. So, like I already explained, so the key concept of mindfulness is paying attention on purpose to the present moment and observing the thoughts non judgmentally without criticizing or commenting on those thoughts, right? So, this is another way of looking at it. It is not about emptying your minds, like mind of thoughts, like I already mentioned. It's about becoming aware of your thoughts without getting swept away by them. Yeah. All right. So let's talk more about the origin of mindfulness. Yeah, let's explore where exactly it comes from. Right? So, mindfulness may feel like a new sort of a wellness trend, but in reality, it existed for thousands of years. Its roots go deep into Hinduism and Buddhism, to ancient traditions where awareness, meditation, and inner balance was central to life, right? So in Hindu philosophy, mindfulness appears in the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna guides Arjuna towards clarity, presence, and self-awareness on the battlefield of life. I'm pretty sure we all have heard that, right? And the Vedic texts also describe practices like yoga and meditation, right, which are ways of anchoring attention and connecting with the present moment, right? In Buddhism as well, mindfulness is expressed concept through a particular concept called sati, which basically means moment to moment awareness without attachment. It is one of the steps on the path to enlightenment, helping people understand the nature of thoughts, emotions, and their own self. Right. So these were the early, origins of how mindfulness existed. So like around 2,000 years ago, right? Then over time, as these teachings traveled across the world, let's say, they blended with modern psychology and neuroscience. So today, mindfulness is practiced by monks, business leaders, athletes, students, in by psychologists as well, and it is not practiced as a religion but as a skill for inner well-being, right? So it has become widely used and has become a evidence based approach for treating a lot of psychological conditions as well, for treating conditions like anxiety, depression, stress, even chronic pain. Yeah. So instead of trying to suppress difficult thoughts and emotions, mindfulness teaches individuals to notice them with curiosity without judgment, like I said earlier, which reduces the emotional reactivity and builds sort of resilience in them. So, after, now not now like two major clinical programs came up after this concepts of mindfulness was introduced in Buddhism and Hinduism. Right after that, clinical programs called mindfulness based stress reduction, which was developed in the year 1979 by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn to help patients manage stress and chronic illness. That was one. Another one was mindfulness based cognitive therapy, which was later developed by Zindel Segal, Mark Williams, and John Tisdale, which combines both mindfulness and along with cognitive behavioral strategies. And it is effective in treating depression and major psychological conditions. Together, sort of these approaches helped bridge the ancient wisdom with modern psychology and brought mindfulness into the mainstream mental health treatment. Now, let's talk about why mindfulness matters today more than ever. So, we live in a world full of constant noise, right? So, there are buzzing phones all the time, endless notifications, right? Responsibilities, deadlines, expectations, right? So our attention is something that is constantly being pulled in different directions. And without realizing it, we start living life on an autopilot mode, right? So now think about it. How many times have you driven somewhere or eaten a meal and then later realized that you don't remember the experience? Like the body was there, but the mind was somewhere else, right? I think that's like an everyday experience for most of us. We are in the present moment, but we are the body is in the present moment, but we are elsewhere, right? Internally our minds are elsewhere, right? So that mental disconnect slowly drains our energy and our emotional balance as well, right? So another modern challenge is that of information overload, right? Every day we consume more data than the human brain was ever designed for. This makes it harder to focus, harder to unwind, and harder to truly be in the present moment. So, mindfulness, what it does is it gives us something powerful, which is a pause, right? A sort of like a breather, a moment where we can return to ourselves. So, it helps us step out of that autopilot mode that I was just talking about and back into awareness, clarity, and groundedness in a way, right? So it doesn't remove the challenges of life, but it gives us the inner space to respond with wisdom rather than reacting impulsively. Okay, so now let's look at what mindfulness actually does to us and how does it actually help us? Why is it important? So the benefits aren't just emotional or spiritual, they are deeply physical, neurological, and psychological. So it helps us regulate our emotions instead of being controlled by stress, anger, anxiety, irritability, or fear. We learn how to notice these emotions without drowning in them, right? So that is one. It improves our quality of life in simple but very powerful ways. So it improves our sleep better, it gives us better concentration abilities, more patience, more joy we are able to get in ordinary moments. Yeah. So small experiences start feeling richer because we are finally able to be present for these moments. Right? Then there's scientific research that shows that regular mindfulness practice slows brain aging and even increases gray matter volume in areas related to memory. emotional regulation, and learning. So, just by paying attention to the present moment, you are in a way strengthening your brain, right? Which is beautiful. So, mindfulness also reduces symptoms of depression, improves self compassion and focus, and it enhances focus and productivity basically. So, when our mind is basically anchored instead of being scattered or being everywhere, we think more clearly and we are able to act more intentionally. Apart from that, it also helps, like I said, integrates emotions, reduces anxiety, relieves chronic pain, calms the body, decreases stress, and improves sleep. Now, let's shift from the emotional benefits to neuroscience. Let's talk more about the science behind mindfulness. Sometimes when we hear words like calmness or awareness, it feels abstract, right? So, but mindfulness has a very concrete biological foundation. So, talking about that, let's talk about the first thing. So, our brain has a lot of neural networks, right? Networks in the brain. So, two of the most important ones in our brain networks are the task positive network, which is active when we are focused, present, and engaged in something, right? And there is the default mode network, which is active when the mind is wandering or worrying, replaying the past, or imagining the future, right? So mindfulness research has shown that mindfulness strengthens the task positive network and quiets down the overactive default mode network. So instead of getting stuck in rumination, like constantly thinking about something, brain is guided back to awareness and more clarity. Then next we have the let's talk more about the nervous system, right? So mindfulness activates the parasympathetic nervous system in our brain, which is responsible for relaxation, emotional balance, right? At the same time, it reduces or decreases the parasympathetic nervous system activity, which is basically which triggers the fight or flight response during stress. So in the time of stress, when are having that sort of a panic sort of reaction, it the sympathetic nervous system is what it triggers it, right? So mindfulness helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the relaxation part of it, right? So it is not mindfulness is not just a positive thinking sort of a phenomena. It is a physiological shift from survival mode to calm responsiveness in a way. All right. Now let's move deeper into what mindfulness physically does to the brain. So this is one of the most exciting research about mindfulness. So let's start with the insula and sensory cortices. These regions help us become more aware of the signals coming from our body, right? Like things like heartbeat, breathing, our hunger, any tightness in our body that we feel, and sort of emotional cues as well. So, mindfulness increases activation in these areas, which means we become more in touch with our physical and emotional state. That is what happens to this part of the brain. This is why regular mindfulness practitioners can identify their emotions faster and they are able to respond before they escalate or they show a more intense reaction, right? Next is the anterior cingulate cortex, or the ACC. This part of the brain is involved in higher level processes like attention regulation, decision making, emotional control. So, what happens when we practice mindfulness? The ACC becomes more active and becomes more efficient. So, this is the reason why mindfulness improves focus and attention span as well. And this particular region is also associated with something called cognitive distancing. It is the basically the ability to observe thoughts without getting tangled in them. So when this particular skill develops, we can notice anxiety, anger, or any sort of negative self doubt, let's say, without being consumed by it. So this is what mindfulness does to this particular region of the brain. Moving on. Next is the amygdala. This is one of the most crucial regions of the brain, which is responsible for processing emotions. It is the amygdala acts like the brain's alarm system in a way. It detects threats, any sort of um, it no, it triggers fear, and it activates the fight or flight response that I was talking about earlier. So when we are constantly stressed, overwhelmed, or anxious about something, the amygdala stays um, in a high alert mode, even when there is no real danger. So that's why small problems can sometimes feel huge. So or why we react emotionally before we even realize it, right? So when So there, mindfulness plays a very transformative role. So studies show that that regular mindfulness practice reduces activation in the amygdala, which means the alarm system becomes less jumpy and more balanced. And it also has been proven to reduce the physical size and volume of the amygdala over time, which indicates that there's a structural adaptation towards lower reactivity, right? All right, moving to the next one. Then there is the prefrontal cortex, right? So the prefrontal cortex controls higher order functions like emotional regulation, problem solving, impulse control, decision making, reasoning, right? So research shows that mindfulness increases activation in the prefrontal cortex, making it stronger and more efficient. So, what does it look like in real life? You might think it means that instead of reacting instantly based on emotion, we take a moment to reflect, evaluate, and choose a wiser or more apt response. Right? That is how mindfulness helps the prefrontal cortex as well. Now we have the hippocampus, that is the part of the brain responsible for learning and memory. So it plays a major role in storing information and retrieving it whenever we need it. When we are constantly stressed, the hippocampus tends to shrink, which is why chronic stress can impact memory and concentration as well. So, mindfulness has been shown to increase activation and even increase the volume of the hippocampus. That means that mindfulness not only protects the brain from the harmful side effects of stress, but in a way strengthens our ability to learn and remember. Right? Okay. Now that we understand how mindfulness affects the brain, it makes, I think, sense that it improves performance in academics, business, and sports as well. So, with students and academics, when mindfulness improves focus, memory, and emotional regulation as well, studying becomes easier, right? So, students are able to concentrate longer, process information more clearly, and handle exam related stress or anxiety more calmly. So, that is how mindfulness impacts academic performance and social emotional outcomes in students as well. In the business and workplace world, mindfulness strengthens productivity, communication, and leadership. When people are fully in the present moment, they make fewer mistakes, manage conflicts more mindfully, and recover faster from pressure. That is what research has proven. Then there's sports and athletics, where mindfulness increases attention, reaction time, and improves their confidence and emotional stamina in a way. So, athletes who this has been seen through research that athletes who practice mindfulness can bounce back from their mistakes faster and stay fully immersed in the moment, which is, I think, very crucial in sports in order to see peak performance. Right? All right. So, we, like Riddhi had mentioned earlier, we have a few practical approaches in mind today. We will be practicing mindfulness in the session. So, before we jump to that, I think we should talk about what we need, what are the prerequisites for mindfulness. In order to practice mindfulness, what all do we need? So, you don't need any special equipment, a meditation room, or hours of free time. What you really need is a mindset first. So, the first prerequisite is willingness, an open attitude toward simply being present. You don't need to be calm to start. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to be curious enough to try, right? So the second thing is having time and space. Not a lot of time. We are talking about 2 to 5 minutes. Even that's enough for beginners. What really matters is the intention to start, and then focusing on the present moment. So it's basically observing present moment, the moment that you are in at present, without trying to force any specific outcome out of the whole practice. That is the whole thing that we're looking at, right? Then observing without judgment. When thoughts or emotions come up, instead of thinking like this shouldn't happen, why am I thinking this, we need to learn to say that this is this is what's here right now. Yeah, so just take it as it is what we start need to start practicing. Then practicing non-striving and acceptance is basically accepting whatever comes during your practice. There will be a lot of thoughts that would come, whether they are pleasant or unpleasant. We just accept it the way it is, right? That is one. And then the last prerequisite is practice returning. So the mind will definitely wander. That's a guarantee. The entire magic of mindfulness lies in gently bringing back attention when it drifts, right? So mindfulness isn't about getting somewhere. It's basically about showing up again and again with kindness. Yeah. All right, so I would just briefly describe some of the techniques that are there, that are usually done during mindfulness, which we can use in everyday practice. One is breathing space. This is a short 2 to 3 minute practice where you can pause whatever you're doing and simply tune into your breath, right? So there we just notice the inhale, notice the exhale without trying to change anything in the moment. It's like pressing the reset button for your mind whenever stress builds up. The next is body scan. In this technique, we mentally scan the body from head to toe, observing sensations without any judgment, like I was talking about earlier as well. There, we are basically trying to understand, are there any areas of tension, any areas of warmth, any areas of discomfort? Yeah. So we are trying to bring awareness to the body. You're trying to recognize how emotions are showing up physically, and that in turn helps improve emotional regulation. Right. The third thing is grounding techniques. These are especially helpful when the mind feels overwhelmed. There are times when we are feeling extremely anxious. These are good times when we can practice grounding techniques. It could be feeling your feet on the ground, holding a warm cup, or naming 5 things you can see right now, right? It is basically about bringing our attention back to the present moment. So I will help you with a few techniques later, so you'll be able to understand better in while you practice those activities. So grounding, what it basically does, it brings us back from worry and rumination to the present moment, right? And then finally, we have mindful daily living, where there are lots of activities that we can practice. This means it means paying full attention to everyday activities rather than rushing through them um, on on autopilot. Notice, so it can be lots of things, like I said, like noticing the taste and texture of your food, or the sensation of your feet while your feet is touching the ground as you walk, right? So by practicing even any one of these techniques consistently, we train the mind to slow down, stay present, and respond rather than reacting. Okay, this is one of my very favorite metaphors to explain mindfulness. So it is through the sky and the clouds metaphor. So now imagine that you are the sky. It is open, vast, and steady. And now imagine your thoughts and emotions as clouds that are constantly changing shape, size, intensity, right? So some clouds may be light and gentle, others may be dark and stormy. But no matter what the clouds look like, the sky is always there underneath, right? It's unchanged, right? So in daily life, we often identify with the clouds. We might start thinking that I'm anxious, I'm angry, I'm stressed, right? But in mindfulness, we learn to shift from I am the emotion to I am noticing the emotion, right? So clouds are not who you are, they are just, in a way, passing experiences in your awareness. So there's a very beautiful line that it says, you are the vessel for the feelings, not the feelings themselves, right? I hope this metaphor has helped you understand mindfulness better. All right. So we'll be diving into the practical aspects of mindfulness now. So I would like you all to, if you all are comfortable, please turn on your cameras. I think that would help us, with the practice better. So I will just be giving you the instructions while I move through these activities, and you just have to listen to me and engage in the activities. That's all that you need to do. Yeah. If you all are feeling ready to start the mindfulness based activities, then please say, send a thumbs up or chat box maybe. All right. If everyone is ready, I'll just start the first activity. Yeah. The first one is called belly breathing. So now, this exercise basically helps calm the body and the mind by engaging the diaphragm and signaling safety to the entire nervous system. So, what you need to do is, wherever you're sitting, gently place one or both of your hands on your belly. Yeah, you can put any one or both of your hands on your belly, and you can close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Yeah, I hope everyone has one of their hands on their belly now. You can close your eyes if you want. We'll take a slow breath in through the nose, and as you inhale, feel your belly expand. Now breathe out slowly through the mouth and feel the belly soften. Let's repeat that together. Inhale, belly rises, and exhale, the belly relaxes. Repeat. Inhale and exhale through your mouth. Don't worry about doing it perfectly. Just notice the movement of your breath. And if your mind wanders, that's okay. Simply bring your attention back to the rise and fall of your belly. Let's do 3 slow breaths together. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly. Inhale once more and exhale gently. One last slow breath in and release. You can open your eyes now whenever you feel ready. I hope some of you were able to relax a little after this activity. So, you must have noticed how your body feels now, even the smallest sort of change matters. Yes, belly breathing is something you can do anywhere, at your desk, in bed, during stress, before sleep, to return to a calm state of mind. Yeah. All right. So we'll move to the next activity. So next we are going to explore floating bubbles. The technique, it's a beautiful way of separating ourselves from our thoughts without suppressing them. So whenever you're feeling ready again, gently close your eyes. I hope all of you are seated in a comfortable space. Gently close your eyes and take a comfortable breath. Now imagine you're standing and in front of you, all your thoughts floating in transparent bubbles. A bubble appears with a memory, another with a future worry, another probably something on your to do list. Just notice these bubbles without grabbing or pushing away any of the bubbles. If a bubble catches your attention, that's okay. Observe it for a moment and then let it float off again, like a balloon rising into the sun. You may be experiencing some thoughts that are coming quickly or slowly. They're fine. You're not trying to control the bubbles. You're simply watching. Let's stay here silently for a few more seconds, just watching thoughts afloat and drift. Now, gently bring your awareness back to the room. Wiggle your fingers, relax your shoulders, and take a slow breath. Whenever you feel ready, you can come back and open your eyes. I hope that was a little relaxing for you all. So, the goal of this exercise wasn't to have fewer thoughts, it is to practice observing thoughts rather than getting pulled into them, which I've been trying to explain to you all since the beginning of the presentation. But practicing it is when we start to experience it, right? And when we are able to really understand what exactly we are learning, right? Okay, so I'd like to move to the next activity then. So the next activity connects us with the present moment using our five senses, right? It is a great tool for emotional grounding and focus. I was talking about this earlier that whenever we're feeling too anxious and overwhelmed, this is something like one of the grounding techniques that we can practice, right? So for this particular activity, you don't need to keep your eyes shut. We will need your eyes open this time. Okay. So what I want you all to do is look around and quietly identify five things that you can see around you. Could be anything around you, colors, textures, shapes. Take a moment to notice the details of these things that you are seeing around you. I hope everyone is able to name five things by now around that's there around you. All right. So now you have to find out four things that you can touch with your hands or feel that's lying around you. Could be anything, your clothes, the chair. Just observe the sensation while you touch it. Yeah. So the next would be listening to three sounds around you, three sounds that you can hear. Could be loud or faint, could be near or distant. Simply notice three sounds around you. Okay, next, two things that you can smell around you at the moment. Could be something in the room. Maybe someone is cooking something outside in the kitchen. Maybe a perfume, or it could be just the air that you're breathing. Okay, I hope you all were able to smell two things around you. Now, think of one thing you can taste right now. Focus your attention into your mouth and try to feel a taste. It could just be the natural taste of your mouth. Okay, let's take a slow breath as we finish. Notice how differently you feel now compared to before. Probably more present, more aware, and more grounded. Yeah. So this exercise is especially helpful during anxiety or any episodes of overthinking or overwhelmed emotions when we are feeling very panicked in a way, because the senses in a way anchor us back into the body and into the moment where safety sort of exists, right? So this is a very good grounding technique that helps us come back to the present moment. Yeah. Okay, so the last activity for the day, you can either sit or stand for this activity. If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes. I hope everyone is ready for the last activity. All right. Now, I want everyone to imagine a warm, golden sunlight just above the top of your head. A warm, golden sunlight just above the top of your head, gentle, comforting, and safe. Slowly picture that sunlight flowing down into your head, filling your face with warmth, then down your neck, keep feeling the warmth of the sunlight around your neck, and then into your shoulders. Then into your arms, then your hands, and your fingertips. Let it continue downward through your body. Let the warmth now move to your chest. The warm sunlight is now filling up your chest. Now your back, belly, your hips, your legs, and then your feet. Imagine every part of your body filling with warm light and softness. As the sunlight moves, notice the sensations, maybe warmth, maybe tingling, maybe an ease, or just awareness of the body. All of these sensations are welcome. If you find any area holding tension, let the sunlight linger. Let the sunlight linger there for an extra moment, softening and loosening the space. And now imagine the sunlight filling your entire body from your head to toes, like a warm inner glow. Take one slow breath and gently open your eyes. when you're ready. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So, this practice that we did just now was a body scan practice, and it helps us connect deeply with the body and release stored tension without forcing it. This is one of the very important techniques of mindfulness and most practiced techniques of mindfulness. So, with that, I would like to end our activities by normalizing something very important, that mindfulness definitely takes a lot of practice. And if your mind wandered during any of the activities that we practiced today, that means there's no problem. Your brain is exactly working how it should be working. So the skill we are building is not staying focused forever, but gently returning every time our mind drifts, right? Our mind drifts. So you can think of mindfulness like a muscle that every time we come back to the moment, it in a way gets strengthened. So we are strengthening that muscle, is how you should look at mindfulness, right? So there is no failure in mindfulness, there is only returning. So whether you practice for 2 minutes or 20 minutes, once a day or once a week, every small movement of awareness counts. Yeah. And the more kindness you show yourself during these mindfulness practices, the more powerful it becomes. So this is something I want to leave you with. Like John Kabat-Zinn said, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. I'm leaving the ending the topic today with that thought in mind. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you so much, Christy ma'am, for such an enlightening and insightful presentation. The techniques really helped personally, as though it was a very stressful day, but still with these techniques, it helped calm myself personally. So thank you so much for that. Requesting audience, if you have any doubts, if you can put your questions on the chat box, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask, the forum is open for question. Any one of y'all, if y'all have any questions, you can either unmute yourself or if you can put the question on the chat box.
Right. Somebody is asking that in the floating bubble technique, do we have to label the thought or imagine? I think we have to do both. So when you're imagining the bubbles is when you're labeling the thought there. Right? So that is what you're doing. someone writes that sometimes whole night thoughts are running in their mind. I completely understand how difficult that must be for you. And yes, mindfulness would definitely help you with that. Sometimes I had mentioned earlier as well that it helps with sleep, helps with overthinking, it helps with anxiety and all of that. So if you make it a habit to practice it before you go to bed, that would really help you a lot. There are a lot of these videos available on YouTube as well. So the person who introduced mindfulness-based stress reduction, Dr. John Kabat-Zinn. He has a lot of videos on YouTube, and there are videos from the channel Calm. You can find a lot of videos there that are giving you guided mindfulness techniques. So you just have to plug on a earphone or play the video in front of you. You don't have to keep looking at it. You just have to listen to the audio, and then you can definitely feel a lot more calmer. And I think your mind would be a lot more calmer, and you'll be able to sleep better, ma'am. I hope that helps.
Does anyone have any more questions? If no one has any questions, then let's move ahead concluding this session. So, as we conclude, I encourage each one of us to take away the understanding that mindfulness is not just a practice, but a meaningful shift in how we experience our everyday lives. By pausing, noticing, and being fully present, we can better manage stress, enhance our emotional well being, and respond more calmly to the challenges we face. I hope this discussion inspires all of us to incorporate small moments of mindfulness into our routine and experience the clarity and balance it can bring. I once again thank Christy ma'am for such a wonderful session. Thank you so much for enlightening all of us. And I'm sure each one of us are taking back a lot of techniques and tricks that probably we can start using it. Before we close, I'd like to inform you that there will be no presentation next month. We will be taking a short break and will resume our sessions in January 2026. Thank you for your continued participation, and we look forward to reconnecting with you all in the new year. Thank you, everyone.